Okay, so Efren's turning the top knob on the left one until that's in focus. We already focused the right one by using the fine adjustment, but now he's turning the left one a little bit back and forth until it looks in focus with his left eye, because sometimes you have people with their left eye a little bit different than their right eye. Okay, so is that in focus?
Yeah.
All right, so now move these forward and back until that comfortably you can see both eyes at the same time and you don't feel like you're getting dizzy. So feel free to move them closer or farther away like you got binoculars in your hand and you're trying to see both at the exact same time. You see, now you don't have to move this one over anymore, because when this is in focus, that's in focus because you've already played with it. So now you can leave them exactly like they are. Is that cool? So you can see E with both eyeballs now. So it's kind of a nicer little effect. Okay? Okay, Efren, what I want you to do is turn it from the scanning power, the low power, and twist the wheel. Don't grab the lens itself, but just twist the excellent until the yellow one's on there. Now, do you see how dangerous that would have been if you didn't pay attention and used the coarse adjustment? You see, you might accidentally smash the lens against the glass. That would be a bummer and very expensive. And your parents would hate you if you have to pay a couple $100. So you don't want to do that. So you never use coarse again. Now we're just using the fine adjustment so we don't go smashing that glass. Now look through there, play with the fine adjustment. So put your hand right on the fine adjustment and look in there and see if you can focus that letter E. And feel free to move the E. With these knobs here, you can move where the E is positioned. Okay? Maybe look at a different spot on the E. You got that?
Oh, yeah.
You got it? And what do you think? Is it in pretty good focus? Can we look at it through the camera?
Yeah,
let's try it with the video. All right, here we go. All right, so now that's the letter E under medium power. And you all should be able to figure out how many times bigger it looks because the eyepiece has a 10 on it and the objective lens has a 10 on it. All right, after now, let's go under high power. High power, what do? You twist that knob until the blue one's there. There you go. We're not going to use the oil one, so that one's never going to be used in our class. But use the blue one, and again, you never touch the coarse, just the fine, because you do not want to crush that glass. All right, so go in there, play with the fine adjustment, and see if you can get that into focus for me. And then we'll take a look with the video camera. Got it?
Almost.
Okay. Now Efren focused it with high power. And that's what it looks like. Just a little chunk of the E. As focused as we can get it. All right, Efren, so what I want you to do is very carefully take that slide out. But what should we do first so that we can absolutely protect that lens? Because we always start when we look at a new lens with what power? High power or low power? Right, so let's dial that back to the low power before we go exchanging stuff. So turn that back. No, not that way. Let's go back the other way. There, don't go through the eye. There, one more, right? One more. There you go, the red one, which is the 4 on it. Good. Now we can safely take that out by pulling that out a little bit. Take that slide out, and we'll put a different slide in. Maybe fibers, little nylon fibers or something like that. Different colored fibers. See how nice that fits right in there? And then that little clamp just holds it in place. All right, let's go try and, you can do coarse adjustment if you want now. Look through the scope. Look, put your eyes real close there and see if you can kind of get it back into focus. It's probably real close. And center it and see what you got. So just we get a clear thing. Underneath here, we can control the diaphragm for the light by opening and closing, like the iris of your eye. Change the pupil size. So this is kind of like just like that. We stole that idea and we just make the pupil bigger or smaller. Okay, so this is like wide open, like in the dark. So a lot of light comes through. And then over here like this is in bright sunlight, your pupil gets really small. So it lets less and less light in there. You see the light's changing, how bright it is over there like that. There's also a little tiny lens in there that's focusing the beam, and that's called the condenser lens. So that's another lens in there that doesn't do anything for the optical power, but just makes the beam of light more concentrated or less concentrated. All right, so you got it all focused? All right, let's see what the fibers look like. That's pretty cool under low power. Look at the beautiful colors. Okay, now we could tweak the light a little bit. Lean underneath me here and play with the light source. Do you remember how we did that with the diaphragm? Right, hold on a second. There, so is that darker or lighter? Did you go all the way bright? Now go dim, now go the other way. Pull it the other way, like toward you, so that the light gets a little, so there's a little bit of like light adjustment just due to that. It's pretty cool. You can control that all. Okay, now go to medium power. And remember, now that you're going to go to medium power, you got to remember that you never ever touch the coarse adjustment again. Now it's all just fine adjustment. So feel free to relocate or move that a little bit, see what you really want to look at, and then focus it all over again. And we'll take a look. And there you go. You see those individual fibers that are really cool looking. So why don't you do high power now? One more twist of the thing very carefully to bring it to that last one. You read the numbers on there, so you probably know what the magnification power is, because it's the eyepiece multiplication times that gives you the total magnification. All right, so do the fine adjustment, focus it in, and we'll take another look at it under the high power. Did you get it? Are you liking it? Now you get to see individual threads, and you'll notice that you can only focus on like one layer at a time. This stuff is so thick that if one thing's in focus, there's other spots that aren't in focus because it's such a thick specimen. All right, folks, so now we're going to try to use forceps and a tiny little scalpel and just cut the smallest, thinnest layer of onion that we can. So Efren just kind of shaved off. What he tried to do is one layer, like let it just peel off. So hopefully it's only one layer thick. So you don't have like a bunch of stack cells. We actually have one layer of cells. So put that right in the middle of the slide there. Okay. Maybe you can use the fork, and don't let it fold over on itself. I think we did by accident. Try to unfold that. You see how it went on top of itself? Make it so that it's not folded on itself. Like kind of like scrape it a little bit so that it's not on. We might have to do one over. Let's see. You want to be able to just maybe use the forceps to hold one end, and just kind of like move the slice over a little bit. You grab one side, and we just go over like that. Okay. What do you think? Did we do it? All right. Now Efren's going to take one drop of the dye. This has an IKI on it. He's going to take one drop of that stuff, and he's going to stain. Just drop it straight down. One nice little drop right there. Don't let the dropper touch the thing, but just let one drop fall on it. Good. Okay. And then he's going to put the dropper back in there, tighten it all up so that we don't spill it, and then put the slide on there. Try to just touch it from the edges. And don't go straight down on it, but kind of go on an angle so that bubbles and stuff will be taken out when it falls down. There you go. Now let that sit for 5 or 10 minutes until that dye soaks in and really lights up that cell a little bit. And while we're doing that, let's make the other prepared slide. Rip that open, and what I want you to do is scrape either the left or the right cheek with one of those two sticks. So hopefully there's two of them in there. Might have to just cut it sideways. Okay, do you see two of them in there? Oh, that's great. Okay, so take either your left cheek or your right cheek, remember which one it was, and pretty much what you're doing is more rigorously than you would expect. Not like crazy, don't like cause bleeding or anything, but just kind of like clean off the whole inside of your cheek. So you're really getting rid of any food, particulates, or anything that might be in there that we don't really want to see, because we're really going for skin cells or epithelial cells on the inside. So pretty clean. All right, wrap it in there and throw that out and that out right into the biohazard container, because believe it or not, human junk is a biohazard considered. You probably won't get sick, but that's why we don't take the chance. All right, now, real quick, take the other piece of wood, the other stick, and do the exact same thing. Try to get just to the edge of that stick and scrape that same spot. The exact same spot means It's where you cleaned off any food or anything, and now the only thing that should be on that slide now are a couple skin cells or a couple epithelial cells that you're scraping out. Then take that and slide it right on there, on the middle of the slide, and just kind of like smear it. Like maybe flat it out, like just kind of like flatten it out a little bit and see. Do you see a little bit of film or anything? Do you think you got any?
Yeah.
You see you got some? Okay. Throw the stick away in the biohazard. And take 1 drop of the acetoauracin. That's the dye we use for these cells. Very, very carefully take 1 drop. Okay, and drop 1 drop right there where the slime is. There you go. And then put it back and screw that on back nice and tight so we don't spill any of that. And then that little cover slip that we grabbed, grab it from the edges, not the top. Just you don't want to get your fingerprints on it. Okay. And remember how to do that, not straight down, but over on an angle a little bit, just so that we try to avoid getting bubbles all in there. Nice job. There you go. Yeah, beautiful. Now let that sit for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, with your other rag, see this rag? We want to grab and just hold it down and soak up any excess, We want to clean that up just so that we don't get the juice of that dye all over our microscope. So we want to get that pretty cleaned up so that there's no need for any kind of cleaning up of our microscope. Okay? Let's throw this away in the biohazard, and we got this one ready to go. Okay, Efren's going back to low power, taking that slide off, and then we'll put the onion in there. Now, if you were like us, we had a little trouble finding a piece of onion small enough. We were just having trouble getting a slice, so maybe you want to center right on the edge of the onion, right where it's probably a better chance of having only 1 layer thick. All right, so go use coarse and fine adjustment with the scanning power and see how we do. Get it in focus and we'll take a look. All right, so there's a little couple onion cells from low power. You can start seeing really cool things about it that you're going to learn in this class on what you're actually looking at. All right, see how Efren's using just fine adjustment, never the coarse adjustment. That only happens under low power, but now he's on medium power, so he's getting it in focus, and he's got it. All right, so Efren's tweaking the light, and you'll see that you get a really cool effect depending on whether the light's bright or whether the light is dim. On the different things you can see, the contrast or the color changes when the light is bright or when the light is dim. Isn't that neat? See different parts of the onion cells. Okay, now under high power, you can really see some spots, but we also found out that we have more than 1 layer of onion because 1 layer is on top of the other layer. Try the fine adjustment and you'll see that you actually will see another layer under that layer, and when you focus on 1 layer, it'll go to the other one. There's 1 layer. Now go back the other way. And there's the other layer. It's really kind of cool. I actually got 2 layers of onion there. Under high power, you can see. All right, so now we got Efren's cheek cells hiding in there. The stain's been sitting there long enough. Focus that in there with fine and coarse adjustment because we got it on our low power. And let's take a look. All right, there's some cheek cells under real low power. Let's go to medium and high. All right, Efren's tweaking the iris there to change with the diaphragm the amount of light that's coming in through the condenser lens so that he can get a different contrast for that thing. You like that? Can I see? There it is. Efren's cheek cells under high power with a really nice light contrast. Very cool. Very cool. And there it is. Efren's cheek cells.